The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, back in action, Mr. AJ Applegarth. How's it going, man?
I get no as usual tonight because you've probably been hoping to say it for weeks and it hasn't happened. So
No.
I apologize, listeners. I'm here. I'm back. All is well. And ready to do this.
He's not dead. We're good. We're good.
Not yet. We'll see. I've got a handful of beers in this cooler, so we'll see how the show goes.
AJ passes out in the middle of the show. Okay. Anyway, so we are looking at about pretty much 10 minutes left to go in this Minnesota-Pittsburgh game. We got Minnesota up 15-0. Actually, it might be 16 now. Dalvin Cook. Everybody who was afraid to start him, you were wrong. Yeah, he's blown up. He just scored. Justin Jefferson scored as well, so things are looking good for the Vikings offense. Not so good for the Steelers offense. I think they'll pick it up, though. The Vikings defense is not that great. But anyway, so tonight we're going to be talking about some stuff to, as we're heading into playoffs here, things to be, really thinking about going forward. And then some unsuspecting league winners, some possibilities here, some guys that we want to talk about that, maybe weren't on your radar as guys who you could rely on. But at this point in the season, man, they're looking like they're shaping up to be kind of freebie league winners at this point. But let's get into things here with our favorite product. AJ.
The beer or the Manscaped?
Manscaped.
Just kidding. Yes, Manscaped, people. Come on. We've been talking about this for a while. You got to get on board with this. It's a great promo, great products from these guys. The body wash that's out now, it's just man. I mean, that's all you need. It's great. We've got some crop mop ball wipes here. Can't forget those. Keep your boys fresh. All right. You got the pack here that you can get with your Lawnmower 4.0 package. Get some newspapers to lay out and read while you're shaving. Got to keep your eye on the prize too, but it's good reading. Good reading. Shampoo, conditioner, all in one. Also a money product. I'll tell you what, with that stuff and the body wash, I am a former Dove man, and that stuff just goes. It's like water, wicks away from you. And this stuff, it's nice and thick. I mean, you get a couple pumps on there, and you're getting the whole body and then some. So much obliged. Good product. I'm a fan.
Yeah, big fan there too. Just remember, guys, use that promo code F6P20 for 20% off and free shipping. They make great holiday gifts, for yourself, ladies. If you're listening, believe me, you will not regret buying these for your man. They are great. So enjoy those. Anyway, man, let's bring in our guest. Man of the hour here, Mr. JB Berry from Razzball. Does the Fantasy Besties, Fantasy Magnets. He also does some other work on the side as well. He's just all over the place, man. Good guy here. He's in my Scott Fish division. We ran house in that division, man. It feels like, but it was a tough division. Oh, and he's gone. I talked about Scott Fishbowl and he pieced out on me.
He's like,
he was like, oh man, you brought up bad memories.
Yeah. This again. Great.
I really didn't want to be here, so I just jumped out.
I thought I talked about Scott Fishbowl, and you were mad at me, man, for stealing all your stuff.
Nah,
for those who don't remember, I did talk about our draft like a few times and how you were very mad at me.
You were a sniper in that draft, man. You and me picking back to back was dangerous for each other, and I guess that's why both of us finished 10-2. We both finished at the top of our division with the highest points. So
they would think if we were like stealing from each other, like it, we would have canceled each other out at least a few times, but it seemed to work out well. So yeah, we both had the bye. I'm hoping my team gets healthy and I can take it to the house here. But it's never easy. It's great to be doing well so far, but it means absolutely nothing at this point so far. We got a long ways to go. Anyway, man, glad to have you here. We got a good show here to get everybody ready for week 14 of the fantasy football season. But let's do our beer of the week first.
Beer.
Hi, JB. What you got for us tonight?
So I'm staying close to home. I'm from Long Island, New York. So I'm working with the Blue Point Ale right here. It's the Blue Point Mother Pumpkin Ale. And this is a local brewery from right here on Long Island, out east on the East End. So I figured I'd give some love to the local brewery.
Nice. Hey,
we're big fans
good with that.
Of
we
the
do
local
we do a lot of local brews too, so we're good.
Yeah. Usually drinking something from Maryland or something from New York. This I'm trying to think of where this one is. That's not the one I'm drinking anyway, so it doesn't matter. Joe, this one is a little bit to make you jealous because I know you've been wanting to get your hands on some Treehouse Brewing.
Oh, you're a jerk. You've been gone for 3 weeks and then you do this to me?
Yes,
you
actually
are a true
went
jerk.
To Treehouse and just couldn't leave.
Who can accidentally slip and hit the remove button for AJ?
Nobody.
Take him out of the damn show.
No.
Fired.
Yes,
guess what you're saving me, jerk.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I might have an in on a new brewery that has just a ridiculous amount of stuff. I picked some up. A new store tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Let me know.
You say the word, Joe, and I'll mute him.
Michael Plant.
Mute me now. I'm gonna drink.
He's been filling in for you, AJ. I'll give him whatever he wants.
Joe won't hear my. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk over it. So I'm drinking a Commonwealth Brewing Company. It's in Virginia. Actually, I guess it's blended with the Mumford Brewing, which I kind of picked just because I like Mumford and Sons. So I was like, that's cool. Probably no relation at all, but I figured, hey, that's awesome. But it's called Scooter Mafia. It's got Strata, Citra, Sabro, and Azaka hops. I know what 3 of those are. It's a double IPA. I'm sure it's good. I haven't had it yet, but let's find out.
Survey says
that's damn good. That's a 4 1/4 on Untapped. Easily. That's got to be way better than
I'll
your
take another
Treehouse,
sip.
man.
I don't know.
It's got to be way better than your Treehouse, AJ. Jerk.
I don't know, man.
Anyway.
It's a full pint American double IPA, so 8.3. Yeah.
Wow.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, we go hard, JB. You don't know that?
Yeah, it seems like it. I'm sitting here with a pumpkin ale, like, hey.
I've got a 13%. I've got a 13% triple IPA and an 18% triple in the fridge that I decided not to bring on the show. Maybe
that's one of my favorite times of year is when pumpkin beer comes out, which now is like July. So
yeah, no kidding. It's like half the year at this point
for pumpkin beers.
I need to go get some Christmas ales though. I do like those. It's probably the only thing I'll really pivot to.
It's not even Halloween.
IPAs.
Where's all the pumpkin beer? Oh, we put the Christmas ales out. Why?
You guys drink them.
Those
all in
aren't
August.
that good.
Anyway, let's move on here. So JB, we got just some kind of potpourri topics here, questions that we want to present to you and discuss here, and we'll start with AJ's favorite team and the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, Jalen Hurts was out last week, and Gardner Minshew balled out, man. Now look, I don't think they're going to bench Hurts for Minshew, but I
Why
mean,
not?
is there a little bit of a controversy here? And maybe like they change their game plan a little bit, maybe a little shorter leash for Hurts. If he struggles like he did in the game prior to him getting hurt. What's your thoughts here with that QB situation?
It's tough because they are kind of still in the playoff hunt. So, you don't really want to pivot from a guy who you think could be your future. We think that Hurts is a better fantasy quarterback than he is a real life quarterback, but that doesn't matter to the team when they're making their decision for who's better set to win the games for them. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, what we saw from Minshew was great last week, but I don't know that they're quite ready to give up on Hurts yet. I think that if even his injury nags a little bit through the bye, they might say, you know what, let's rest another week. Let's get you right. Let's get you healthy. And if Minshew balls out again, then we might have a controversy on our hands.
Yeah, I think people who are rostering Goddard are really hoping it keeps with
Yeah.
with Minshew. Like, holy cow. I mean, that's what we all kind of expected, and then some.
Minshew made the Zach Ertz trade look like the best move the Eagles have made in the last 10 years.
Like it made sense? No kidding.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we all thought could happen.
Well, first I have to say, little off topic, but not really, because I have to give it to our friend Keith and his Giants for sticking it to Philly. If I was going to make it onto the show last week, I was literally going to find a Giants hat and wear it on the show and then mail it to you, Keith.
Now I know why you were
that's how much,
sick.
No, my head hurt. I literally had an ice pick headache. It is a thing.
Your head hurt because you were thinking about having to wear a Giants hat.
So much about the stress that I was going to be under wearing this hat and how I wouldn't even be able to see unless I got little wipers on my glasses because of the sweat coming out of my face. But cheers, Keith. The Giants were the better team that day. Their record still sucks, but
their team still sucks, but whatever. They were better than you.
They were indeed. So hats off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, AJ.
So I'm gonna drink something. So
all right. So I don't really think there's much of a controversy. Like I said, I think they're still gonna go to Hurts for the most part here. He's gotten them this far, right? And yeah. I mean, we've seen this before with backups, and that's what Minshew really is. He still is a backup. Is he a top-tier backup? Absolutely. But he's still a backup quarterback. So, yeah, he had one good game. Okay, cool. Let's see him do it again, possibly, and, see... Look, there was no tape on him with Philly, really, except for, maybe some preseason. So it's hard to really... have people come out there, and let's be real, it was the Jets, so let's have him go
Jets
against
making it a game.
Well, let's not
Every
say much
time
for
I
you.
turned
Let's
around,
not say much for
somebody was in the
defense.
red zone. I'm like,
well,
what's going
that's
on?
why I texted you at 1:30 or 2:30 that game, and then you saw it the next morning, and you were like, "What? We won?" And I'm like,
"What?"
I'm like, you're like 12 hours delayed at this point. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird. It's not saying much for the defense there, AJ, but
on either side, the defense was horrible. I don't even think the Eagles punted the entire game. I think they went the entire game without punting.
I'll take your word for it.
They went for it on one of the fourth downs that they had or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. Minshew, obviously, I've got love for the mustache, and I love that he's on the team. I think he's a nice little spark plug that they needed. Coming off a bye, I think it'll be interesting to see if he does play. I think he has a high ability to ball out again because he's got a week off, basically, to learn and practice and get timing down with these guys. So that could help him. But long term, I mean, we've seen what he's done long term. He's kind of had some flash in the pan moments. So I don't know. I would love for him to succeed. I don't think they're ready to give.
I would say this, and I'll finish with this before we move on. I will say this. I kind of think that what you could see there is maybe if Hurts starts struggling, they're going to pull him a little earlier, or maybe there's some scenarios, right, where they know they have to pass. If they what if they get down by multiple scores early, and they have to pass. I mean, Hurts has not shown that he can be relied on for that. Has he been able to come back with his legs? Sure, but I mean, Minshew, we know, can throw the ball, and that's going to be more reliable in my opinion. So I think that could be where things get interesting, is if he starts struggling and the team gets behind. Do they pull him? But I still think it's Hurts going forward for the most part. Another quarterback situation, which I think is getting pretty interesting here, especially for fantasy, not so much real life, is Patty Mahomes, man. Dude, he's been bad. I mean, quarterback 15 since week 9, including week 9. Although mixed in there, he had a 39-point performance against Vegas, who he happens to play this week. So maybe we'll get another blow-up performance. But put that in perspective there. Like, he had a 39, almost 40-point fantasy game, and he's still QB 15 for a 5-week stretch. That's not good. He's had, bunch of low double-digit games. Do we go crazy and, bench him if you got to your fantasy playoffs with Pat Mahomes?
I don't think you could do that, man. I don't think you could do that. I mean, think about if you have Pat Mahomes on your team, think about where you drafted
Of
him,
course.
right? You had to spend high draft capital to get him on your team, which also means you probably don't have another top-tier quarterback on your team.
Yeah, but
most people who spend that early pick wait on their QB too.
Yeah, I get you, but you could argue that somebody could have, maybe snatched up like a Wilson if he got dropped, and maybe you can slide him in there, although he's sort of iffy too. I mean, maybe you picked up Taysom Hill type of guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think there's an argument for it. I mean, and look, to me at this point, draft cost is a
Hill over Mahomes, though.
I have him ranked ahead of Mahomes this week.
This
Mahomes
week, even
has
been
Vegas? Terrible. Hill's getting the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he's probably not throwing 4 picks against the Jets, but he could run for 100 yards and throw 2 touchdowns, and then he's going to have well over 20 points like he did last week, despite 4 picks. I mean, that's just the thing. There's something going on. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about an injury for Mahomes at the end of the year, and he just wasn't reporting it. But I don't know, man. To me, and you brought up the draft cost, and I totally get it. But at this point, man, it's week 14. And that's a sunk cost, man. You don't even worry about that anymore. You worry about who's performing for you, and he's not performing.
You're right, and I only bring that up in the terms of you probably don't have a better option than
That's
him.
true.
But you're right. Maybe you pick up a Taysom Hill or something that has a better matchup. But I don't think there's many quarterbacks that give you an upside that Mahomes gives you. Obviously, we know what he could do. He could throw for 5 touchdowns on any given day. Defenses have kind of thrown him off by playing that soft zone, put him back, not letting him beat him over the top, and giving him the dinks and dunks. They just need to adjust to that. And, I don't know why they haven't yet. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, look at this. Even if you go as far back as week 7, I probably should have gone back that far. If you go back as far as week 7, he has 7 touchdowns. Those are within 3 games. One was a 5 touchdown game. He has 3 0-touchdown games mixed in there. I mean, it's so hard to rely on that at this point. Here's
the reason why I won't bench him. There's one reason why I won't bench him, Joe, and it's because his matchups in Week 17 and Week 16 for the Fantasy Championship and semifinals is Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And both of those are very beatable secondaries. I mean, Pittsburgh is just letting Justin Jefferson run wild and be wide open as the only wide receiver on the team. So,
yeah,
I had Mahomes
and they're also letting Dalvin Cook score again.
Yep.
Glad I moved him up to RB6. I should have had him higher.
I had Mahomes in one league. I actually had Mahomes and CMC, and I packaged them in a trade and ended up getting Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and somebody else back in return.
That's solid.
So I looked at the schedules, and although Mahomes was struggling, he had a decent schedule, but Rodgers had a better schedule, and I thought that he was going to give me more upside there. So I made that deal, but if I kept Mahomes, I'd be rolling him out there.
Maybe not even higher upside, just he's safer. I mean, you kind of just want that. Quarterbacks have been all over the place this year. I mean, Herbert's up here one week, he's he's sky high, then he's down here. He's all, and he's QB1 type type of noise. Brady's been kind of up and down. Like he's like, here, Fournette, you can score 4 this week. I'll score 4 next week. Bye. I mean, we've had Wentz have good weeks. We've had freaking Zach Wilson had a good week last week. Like, what is going on? Like, quarterbacks are awful this season as far as like reliability. When we talk to Bob Long again next year, AJ, for consistency, it's going to be an interesting quarterback conversation.
It will be.
But yeah, if you go as far back as
interesting to see how like high he was and how far he fell. It's
going to be interesting though too, because because quarterback
nightmare.
scoring was all over the place. There's going to be quarterbacks that probably were consistent, but they really weren't the way as consistent as we wanted them to be, like as far as like the total points. Yeah. So, but yeah, if you go as far back as week 7, Mahomes is QB 17, so he drops even farther. So still not good. It gets even. I mean, Mac Jones was ahead of him. Let's put it that way. He just had a 3-point week. A three passing attempt game. I mean, Tannehill's ahead of him. I mean, like it's not good, man. So
I was so stoked to see that output in that game because my Scott Fish score stayed exactly the same. The guy had.
I'm trying to lose in my dynasty league, and
an 18-point lead.
I'm trying to lose in my dynasty league, and the guy that I'm playing, I was up by like 12, and the guy I was playing had Stevenson and freaking Mac Jones. He scored like 10 points instead. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, I'm mad. So anyway, I feel you on it's hard to bench Mahomes because you might not have better options. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've got somebody out there, like, you know, if you can roll out, like, look, I think Tua could be interesting hitter, you know, certain weeks too. Like, he's been real good, top 10 for the last half of the season. Again, like, I mean, Kirk Cousins has been like a top 6 quarterback the last few weeks of the season. Like, there's guys out there who, you know, you're looking at the names and you're going like, ugh. You can't look at the names sometimes. At this point in the season, you're kind of playing DFS with your redraft as much as you can. You know, it's hard because you don't have the pick of the litter, but you know, you can still go out there and get guys. So I think that's just. I don't think it's like an automatic plug and play. I think it's. You really need to take it into consideration. Another guy I want to talk about here is somebody who we've talked about a lot on this show, and somebody who I think a lot of people are kind of wondering about, and you know, the arrow is pointing straight up for this guy, but it's Elijah Moore, right? So obviously he was really, really good for the Jets. Basically, once Zach Wilson got hurt, with all these backups, right? Backups of backups, and then Joe Flacco. So Zach Wilson comes back that first week, and Elijah Moore just disappears. And we're like, oh, okay, here we go again. But then last week, he balled out. All right. So what are we good with Elijah Moore? Are we trusting it? Or are you still kind of on the fence because of Zach Wilson?
No, I think he's the main weapon in that bad offense. So I think we kind of have to trust him because somebody has to catch passes for a team that's usually playing from behind. I mean, the last 5 games, in 4 of those 5 games, he's got at least 8 targets. He's got 5 touchdowns. He's got at least 6 targets in his last 7 games. So, I mean, passes are going his way, and he's a playmaker. So Robert Saleh realizes what he has in this guy, and we got to get him the ball. So, I mean, he's a guy I've been putting in my Scott Fishbowl lineup every week, and I'm happy I have him because he's a reliable weapon. Yeah,
he really is. I mean, if you go back as far as and I'm looking at like half PPR here scoring. No, actually, I'm sorry, this is standard, so I need to switch it. If you go back as far as week 8 for wide receiver scoring, he's wide receiver 2. That's crazy. He's only behind Justin Jefferson. Now as far as like average is a little different. You know, some guys will blow up and don't play, and you know, Debo's ahead of him, Kupp's ahead of him because they play less games. So, you know, but still, Elijah Moore's like a top 5 guy right now, which has just been crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I feel you on the workload, and, you know, I think finally the coaching staff figured out they got to get this guy the ball. I do worry slightly with Zach Wilson, but, yeah, he's in your lineup. I feel like he's got to be at this point.
Well, they have to grow together.
Yeah.
That's their future.
You would think so.
The 2 of them, right? If that's what they're banking on, then they have to grow together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they need to make that work. get these growing pains out now, and then in 2 years, shit, that could be scary. And Corey Davis obviously going on the IR, that only helps Moore's case even more, pun intended. I mean,
welcome back, AJ.
Yes, we and he's back. I mean, we talked about this team being, I think they were the youngest team in the NFL, just based on all of the players they had, and I don't want to say lacking talent, lacking experience, we'll say. But this could be a really, really good and scary team in a few years if these pieces fit and work well together and are coached well together. So I like Moore's upside for sure. Speaking of more jokes here, we've got Fields getting back on the field. Chicago offense with Fields. Do we care? I mean, what are we thinking here, JB?
I mean, not really. I mean, he had 2 big games, and one of them was because he ran for over 100 yards and he scored a rushing touchdown. The other one, he almost threw for 300 yards, and I don't think either one of those are games that we can rely on him doing consistently. I don't know that I trust anybody in that offense. I think that Mooney is fine as like a wide receiver 3, but setting your fantasy playoff lineups, I can't really trust anybody in that offense right now, including Allen Robinson. I mean, even in my dynasty league where Robinson was my wide receiver 1, like I might be starting Josh Palmer over him this week. Like that's how bad it is.
I wouldn't blame you, man. I would not blame you at all. I'll tell you I think the only guy you can really start with any sort of confidence is David Montgomery. I'm assuming he's actually healthy.
If he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean he's got to get back healthy this week, but it's not a great offense there. I mean, if our old producer Jeff Hicks was around, I think he'd be jumping on being like, "Fire the coach." I mean, everybody thinks that, right? I mean, like they've got to change something, but apparently we thought they almost did, and then they came out and backed them up, and it was like, what?
Right.
Yeah, you guys are stupid.
Idiot.
Have fun. Aaron Rodgers is just laughing at you. But yeah, no, there's really nothing else to say here. It's kind of just, you're hoping for maybe a rushing floor at best with Justin Fields, and that's really all you can get. It's not pretty. The offense actually ran cleaner with Andy Dalton there, at least from fantasy, aside from last week. But I mean, that was a messy, sloppy, ugly game. So there's really nothing you can say there with that. So next team I want to bring up here, and look, it could totally change because we got news, a few hours before the show that Mike Williams is now testing negative for COVID, but Keenan Allen is still kind of on the fence, could get cleared in time. But let's just throw it out there. If both of these guys don't play this week, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, what do we think about Justin Herbert? Like, I mean, he has been, he as much as he has struggled, he is still, at times, he is still QB2 on the year behind Tom Brady for fantasy purposes. What do we do with Justin Herbert this week if he's missing his 2 best weapons outside of, obviously, Eckler?
Yeah, I think you still roll him out there. And I do think Mike Williams does play. Keenan Allen was the one who tested positive. Mike Williams was a close contact. So as long as he tests negative, he can still play. And especially because of the time frame, he actually was deemed a close contact on Monday, even though we didn't hear about it until Wednesday. So it was a weird situation. Plus, there was reports that he's not vaccinated,
right?
So he's going to be out longer. But that doesn't matter if you're just a close contact. So it was weird mixed messaging we were getting. But I think he does play because he was just a close contact and he hasn't tested positive. So I think that he can play. But even if he doesn't, I think Herbert's going to be fine in this matchup. I don't think they're going to need to throw a lot against the Giants with long neck quarterback, right? Like I think they're going to be up enough that it's going to be an Eckler game. I think Herbert will be okay if he needs to throw. Obviously, he could check down to Eckler, but you got guys like Guyton and Palmer who are ancillary pieces, but they can get the job done. And Jared Cook has played over 300 snaps out wide at wide receiver, so
really
he'll be just fine stepping out there.
Yep. Yeah, I really like Jared Cook as like a cheap DFS play too if that happens. So he was one of the guys I was looking at here. There's a lot of like we were waiting for that news to kind of before I'm setting lineups because it's gonna move pieces with that Chargers team because I really like them this week. Especially value some savings there big time. But yeah, I mean I'm kind of with you. Like I probably am just gonna roll him out where I have Herbert. But I mean I'll be nervous about it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean you missed two really, really good receivers like that. It's hard to replace. So I don't know. But
especially your target monster.
Yeah. Big time. So I don't know. AJ, you got any thoughts for this last question?
No, I mean I think I agree. I mean, you guys pretty much covered everything there. So all right. So last one here. Going back at it.
We're gonna start and finish with the teams.
What's that?
We're gonna start and finish with your boys.
Yeah. Welcome back. So
I didn't have that purpose at all. I swear.
Yeah. Right. All right. So Miles Sanders. Obviously, Eagles are on bye this week. But I mean, if he's gonna miss some time after this week, when they get back to playing, who do you think is gonna get the bulk of the carries, or bulk of the work in general? Actually.
I don't think he's going to miss time. Everything that I was reading today and hearing him talk at a press conference was, I'm going to get right and I'm going to be back out there. And I think that that's the plan. I think, again, they're fighting for a playoff spot. So he's going to want to get out there and do everything in his power to be able to. And the bye came at a perfect time for him to be able to do that. So I don't think he's going to miss any time. I think from everything, what it sounds like from anybody in Philly and the player himself, I think he's going to be out there after the bye.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the only thing you got to worry about is like it is the same ankle, that held him out earlier this year. So like you do worry, just like if it's just going to linger. I mean, honestly, like I didn't find any news. I'd be curious. Where did you find that he said that? I can't find it. But, I mean, Jordan Howard could be coming back too. So we could be looking at Jordan Howard. Could be looking at Boston Scott. We could be looking at Gainwell. Like, there's a whole bunch of people. Like, I picked up Gainwell in our Scott Fish division just because why not? I figured I'd throw it out there. Like, hey, just somebody else.
I'm going to get him ahead of you, JB.
No kidding. Figured he'd be cheap. Gainwell. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't know who it would be. Like, if Sanders does miss time, I guess you would lean Jordan Howard because that's what they did last time. But I mean, Gainwell balled out this last game without anybody else around. So
yeah, but he did the same thing earlier this season.
I know.
Then they're like, oh wait, Jordan Howard, here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Boston Scott, here you go. Gainwell, hit the showers.
Jordan Howard's paying the Eagles to give them carries, and it seems to work. I don't know how.
I don't.
Hey, he got himself a job. He's continuing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably lean Howard to get the bulk of the carries if he's healthy. If not, Gainwell, I suppose. It's sort of hit or miss. I think it would be a hard backfield to trust.
It would be.
It's even hard to trust when Sanders is healthy, even too. So who knows there? So
I mean, they finally decided to actually run the ball with somebody other than Hurts. So
yes.
And then Sanders gets injured, so it makes sense. But I think Scott's going to be more valuable to them in the passing game, and Gainwell is kind of a hybrid where he's valuable in both. So I can see Howard getting more of the rushes, and then Scott being more of the pass guy. But Gainwell, maybe Gainwell's more of the like in the red zone kind of back, that can do either or. So I don't know. Hoping for Sanders.
I think that's why we want Sanders back, because we have no freaking clue.
Exactly. Yeah.
But do we really have a clue even when Sanders is there?
We can say, well, Sanders is getting the ball. and
then he'll get 5 carries and piss everybody off.
And then when he doesn't, we'll be like, well, we told you he wasn't going to get the ball. So interesting. All right. Well, let's move it on.
Yeah. So kind of a little fun topic, but look, we get this every season. We get these guys in the playoffs that we really didn't expect to do this. They become league winners, and we all know at this point, Justin Jefferson, your Jonathan Taylors. Those are your league winners, right? Those are your guys that are gonna get you there and then win it for you. But what ultimately is gonna put you over the top is these guys that you picked up off waivers, you traded for cheap, right? These guys that you can get even today in some leagues, which is crazy to say, that are going to put up really good numbers in the playoffs and are really coming on strong. And JB, I'm gonna let you lead. Who is your number one unsuspecting league winner?
All right, so you've really hit that unsuspecting part of things. So I was going to use Aaron Rodgers because he was drafted as like a back-end QB1, but I guess he's not really unsuspecting because he was still a QB1. So I guess the guy I'll go with is Devonta Freeman, because this is a guy who you were getting on waivers, who was going undrafted. Now in the past 3 weeks, he has 2 20-plus point games. He's getting the bulk of the work there. He's getting the red zone carries, which is huge. I mean, everyone worries about Lamar taking it in himself, but it's Devonta's show, and he's really taken over that backfield. And this is a guy who you got for next to nothing. So, I mean, there's an unsuspecting possible league winner for you as your RB2. And
JB, just so you know, maybe this will make you feel a little bit better. You just sniped me, one of my picks, so that's good. So,
Back to the drawing board,
100%, I agree with you on Devonta Freeman. He was my number 2 pick here. I've got another one unless AJ steals him from me. But yeah, I love that Freeman. Like I was slightly worried about Latavius Murray coming back, but they've just gone full steam ahead with Freeman. And it's worked out really well.
Yeah. So this may be a bit of a shock to both of you, who I'm going to pick here. But I'm going to go with Mike Davis. I don't know why, but I'm going to go with.
We're all going like, what?
Mostly because I picked him up last week on a whim, and he scored and did well, and I was just like, yes. I still lost my matchup by a shit ton probably, but I don't even know. But no, I mean, this is a guy that you know what you're getting with him from last year. And he had that draft capital coming into this year. He did not live up to it at all, mostly because of Cordero Patterson and him somehow figuring out that he's really, really damn good at football when he gets the ball in his hands. So they keep feeding the ball. But the thing that I like about Davis is exactly what we saw last week. He's going to be the guy that's going to come in because they're going to just wear down Cordero. And if he gets stopped right before the red zone or whatnot, Davis has the power to get it done, and he can push it through. Again, it could be totally way off because he's done nothing all year. But Atlanta's got a pretty favorable fantasy playoff schedule too. So, maybe they want to preserve Cordero a little bit more. And they want to
season.
Sure, why not? Because he hasn't really played to this level. I mean, I think he's played more games this season than he probably ever has in his career combined. That's probably an exaggeration. But, I mean, you got Carolina, you got the Niners. Okay. But then you got Detroit and Buffalo. Shit, all you need to do is run on Buffalo.
Apparently.
You don't need to throw the ball. Matt Ryan saw what Mac Jones did and was like, oh, I can do that. I'm way older than you, Mac. I like your style. I'm not going to get injured in this game.
I'm good at handing the ball off.
Here you go. You guys, run the ball. So, it could be an interesting take, but hey, go big or go home.
It could be is an interesting word. So I'm going to go with Russell Gage, and this is a guy that everybody just threw away early in the season. And, I mean, in the last, since week 9, he has been RB20 in half PPR leagues. He's really come up, and that includes a goose egg, by the way. So he should be even better than that. I mean, that was just a bizarre game against Dallas where the entire offense did absolutely nothing, including Russell Gage. I really liked this guy early in the season, and filling in for Julio. And then as soon as Calvin Ridley, decided to step away from football for the rest of the season, Russell Gage, didn't pick it up right away, but they figure things out. And I think what's happening is we're getting a lot of teams are focusing on Pitts, and he's almost unstartable at this point. You're only starting him because he's getting tons of volume, but it's just not working, right? And teams are focusing on Patterson. They can't stop him, but that's leaving a lot of things open for Gage.
They're looking at him. Go by him.
And you look at the targets for the games for Russell Gage since week 7, since week 9. We're looking at 8, and then the Dallas game mixing in where they only got 3, 8, 8, 7, and 12 last week. I mean, he's not even scoring touchdowns, and he's still wide receiver 20 in that time frame. So I really like him as he's like a back end wide receiver 2 that you get for dirt cheap at this point. So yeah, I really like him, and I think he's going to carry some teams through the playoffs that were lucky enough to snatch him up off waivers, because I'm sure he was dropped everywhere.
Can I give you a sneaky bonus one that most of our listeners could probably go and pick up right now on the waiver wire?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple more too, so go ahead.
So Corey Clement is my sleeper dart throw right now, and it's because we know Zeke is banged up. He's dealing with the knee that's been lingering.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard today we found out has a torn plantar fascia. So if the Cowboys lock up their division, right? I mean, think about how bad that division is, right, AJ? So if they end up locking up that division earlier, they can rest these backs the last couple of weeks so that they're healthy for the playoffs. And if that's the case, you might get Corey Clement in your fantasy championship week running behind arguably the best offensive line in football. So that could be a really sneaky little dart throw for us right now.
That is very interesting. I had not dug that deep into it. That is fantastic. I do like that one a lot.
I made sure I picked him up in Scott Fishbowl before I brought him up on this show. So
yeah, I was gonna say. I was like,
I've got a guy. Hold on.
You've got to get that far too, by the way, for it to matter.
Right.
Which is tough to do, man. I've been in the conference finals a bunch, and I get beat out every time, so it sucks. Did you have any more, or you just want us to run through ours?
Well, I mean, the only other one you mentioned a little bit before is Taysom Hill. I mean, this is a guy that you talked about. People could have picked up off of waivers.
Absolutely.
He gets the Jets, the Bucks, Miami, and Carolina, who aren't great matchups, but they're not bad matchups either. And you talked about how he put up 24 points last week, even throwing 4 picks.
Yeah.
So, if he curbs that a little bit, he actually threw for 2 touchdowns, which should have been 3 if he didn't short arm a 25-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith, which I had Traquan on my lineup, so I was pretty angry about that. But, I think that he has the potential, obviously, with what he brings as a dual-threat quarterback. He's not a great regular quarterback, but he's great for fantasy, and he could be a league winner for you down the stretch.
Absolutely. He was for people, what, a couple seasons ago, right?
Yep. He could do it. He's shown us he could do it.
Yeah.
I think I was using him in one league and got the championship. I think I actually used him as tight end that year. That was the year where he had tight end eligibility all over the place too.
Yep.
And I was like, cheat code. That wasn't fair.
That has gone away.
Yes. AJ, what's your next one? Give us some more surprises.
All right. So let me dig into the well here and see who I can pull out here. I mean, we talked about Mooney. I do think that he would be very valuable because he's been wide receiver 20 the last 6 games. Granted, A-Rob's been, banged up and whatnot, but Mooney was a guy that I've been targeting all coming into this season, just as my one sleeper that I was, dying on the Mooney Hill at this point, so to speak. But he had some up and down early on, but he's just really picked it up. I think that there's a comfort there. Again, now we're going back to Fields, so maybe I'm not as high on him, but if the two of them can start getting a connection, or if Nagy finally decides like, hey, I don't want to lose my job, that guy over there is who you need to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
I don't care what else you do. Hand it to D-Mont, throw it to D-Moon, and we're good. Like, I might be able to have a job next year.
Yeah, I like that one. I mean, even with Fields in there, he was seeing targets. They weren't being completed as frequently, but I mean, he was seeing a lot of work. I think Mooney can be a sneaky, play there, moving forward. That, again,
I mean,
people liked him going into the season, but he wasn't drafted anywhere near what he's been doing. So
yeah, even if you're looking at week 9 to 13, I mean, he was receiver 10 in half PPR,
really good.
So that's huge. I think that's worth looking at and taking advantage of. So another receiver that we have here, actually right in front of Mooney, in that same span, 9 to 13, is Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's finally playing the type of college ball, stud like output that he had in the NFL. I mean, is it because the Raiders passing is been kind of a shit show with injuries again and felonies or whatever it is that Ruggs has at this point? Sure, probably, but I mean, Renfro's always been this guy that has been there. He's good in the slot. He knows how to run routes. He's consistent in his routes and his ability. Like, he doesn't really seem to go out of his comfort zone in my mind, as far as I'm not going to go do something that I know that I can't. Some guys might get lucky and do this and that, whatever, and then make an ESPN top 10, and then they may make it not top 10 the next week. You're not getting that with Renfrow. He's a quality guy. Him and Carr have a good relationship, on the field, and it's a safety valve. And I think with Waller being banged up a little bit too this year, Carr kind of had to look around and figure out, who can I rely on? Who can I trust? And it's Renfrow. And he's had awesome games. So
I've been a big fan of Renfrow since college. I mean, saw him destroy ACC competition big time. I feel like every week though, like, I get questions about Renfrow, and like, people try to talk themselves out of starting him, and I'm like, why? Like, especially like full PPR. Nope. Like, nah, just plug him in. You're fine. He's gonna catch 6 balls. I mean, come on, he's Danny Amendola all over again. Like, and
he's West Coast Cole Beasley.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's good. Like, he may not score a touchdown, but he's who was the other guy for the Patriots?
Bourne?
No.
Wes Welker.
Oh, Wes Welker.
Yeah. Like, it's
like Patriots.
Yeah,
Denver.
thank you. Like, it's just it's these types of receivers that like, everybody wants to like talk themselves out of starting them, but because they don't score, they don't have that ceiling. But you're like, sometimes you just need.
Sometimes a bitch that just caught everything came his way.
Sometimes you just need that you can rely on 12 to 15 points, and hey, if he does score, it's 20. Like, boom. So I love that one. Another guy I've got here, and it's Van Jefferson, another guy who, people probably got for cheap off the waiver wire just a few weeks ago. Robert Woods went down. Then they brought in OBJ, so people weren't really sure. I mean, this guy is just, stepped right in. I mean, he was seeing a lot of targets before that too, but now he's seeing he's seeing better targets now. He's seeing a few more, and he's scoring touchdowns. So, like, again, that's where the better targets come in play. So, he's seeing 9 and 8 targets, 7 the week before that. Those were the weeks that Woods missed so far. So I think this offense is really starting to come back around. And, I mean, they've got a fairly nice playoff matchup or schedule too. I mean, this week Arizona could be tough, but dude, then it's Seattle, who just gives up yards after yard after yard. Minnesota, who usually gives up a ton of yards, but who knows what's going on here tonight.
And then their defense, they've been a pretty solid defense this year, though.
And then Baltimore, who, I mean, they're very hit or miss, but they give up a lot of yards too, it feels like. So, I mean, it's a fairly favorable playoff schedule for Van Jefferson and the Rams. And so, I like everybody on this team, but he's a guy who nobody was really relying. Everybody kind of liked him. And I mean, I know he was like stashed on a bunch of teams just because, especially bye weeks. Like, sure, I'll throw it Van Jefferson. Maybe he'll catch a touchdown. Well, now he's the number 2, in my opinion. I don't think OBJ is going to surpass him. And then my last one here is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, we saw last week, man, like 10 targets. That was absolutely insane. And I think this team obviously, goes through Swift and Hawkinson when those two are both healthy. But they got to get Amon-Ra the ball here. They've got to figure out what this guy can do. And he has proved time and time again, whenever they try to get him the ball, that he can do it. So he's a guy who I think could really be sneaky down the stretch too. I'm sorry. It was 10 catches. It was 12 targets. And I mean, talking about good playoff schedules, it gets Atlanta and Seattle in week 16 and 17. Hello. Give me those. I mean, even week 15, like, look, they're going to be behind against Arizona. So there's going to be lots of passing volume there. That's week 15, so if you've got to use him there. So I know week 15, 16, 17 are the big playoff weeks for most leagues. So, anyway.
Just touching on Jefferson real quick before you move past it. What I love for my Jefferson shares is that I heard Sean McVay last week compare him to Robert Woods. Not that he is Robert Woods, but that he can do the things that Robert Woods did.
Right.
And that's huge.
I've been noticing that's how they've been using him in that Robert Woods role, like big time. Like he's been getting, Kupp is still doing Kupp. Like that's what he's going to do. But Woods has been, he's been doing what Woods was doing, which was, taking those slants and trying to run with them, getting the end arounds type of things. And that's going to work. So, yeah, I like Van Jefferson big time going down the stretch. If you were lucky enough to snag him, I think he could easily be, a league winner for you. Yeah. And not talking like he's going to blow off for like 30, 40 points in the playoffs for you, but like you're talking like you just need solid production out of some guys that you got for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
So touching back on Renfro, he's kind of like Kupp light. And
a little bit
from week 9 to 13, he was 8th in full PPR, and Kupp was 7th.
Yeah, so, there you go.
I mean, they're right there.
All right, man. So let's close that out and hit up our injury talk here. And we got a lot of them. This week's littered with injuries, and we'll start with the quarterbacks. And we got Joe Burrow dealing with that finger and a knee injury. He didn't practice Wednesday. It sounds like he's going to try to go. He gutted through it last week and played pretty well. So, I guess it's not affecting him too much, even though he was like cussing after he threw the ball on the sideline, which was interesting to watch. Andy Dalton is questionable, but it doesn't matter. Fields is going to be the starter. Danny Dimes, doubtful with a neck. Doesn't sound like he's going to play. Mike Glennon is looking like he's cleared. He's going to practice tomorrow, so that will give us the go-ahead there for Mike Glennon, possibly. And then Jalen Hurts is on bye, but he's still questionable with that ankle, so that's something to keep a lookout for going forward. We got Aaron Rodgers questionable with a toe, didn't practice Thursday. I'm gonna guess that Aaron Rodgers is probably gonna play. I mean, at this point, Aaron Rodgers probably doesn't need to practice. I think he's fine. We got Jared Goff dealing with an illness, and yeah, that's it for quarterbacks. Running backs here we got.
Are they still calling Aaron Rodgers' injury COVID?
I don't know. Sorry, that's the stupidest thing ever. But I'm laughing at it, I guess. So it worked, right?
The first time I've heard that.
Hibbert, where have you been? Oh, that's right, not on the show.
I'm not here for 3 weeks, remember? God damn it, Roethlisberger, you shitbag.
Welcome back, AJ. So running backs,
Sorry,
we got
my
Austin Eckler dealing with an ankle. He was limited on Wednesday. We got Saquon Barkley, questionable, limited practice today. Darrell Henderson is questionable. He's limited. He's almost on the wrong side of questionable, in my opinion. Darrell Henderson dealing with that thigh injury, which actually held him out last week. And when you see just how well Sony Michel did in his absence, JB, like, what's your thoughts here moving forward with Darrell Henderson? As you know, I mean, he was almost like just automatic start. You think he's still that now after seeing what Sony Michel did last week without him?
Yeah, I do. I don't think that offense wants to run with a split backfield. I think they want to have a lead back. So if Henderson's out, then yes, Sony's going to assume that job. But I think once Henderson's back healthy, he's the guy, and he'll be in my lineups once again. They might be cautious with him because This is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So if he is on the wrong side of questionable, roll Sony out again. He did fine. But then I think when Henderson comes back, it's still his job.
Yeah, I kind of agree here. And we got Joe Mixon dealing with an illness. He's questionable. He'll probably go. David Montgomery, as we mentioned before, dealing with a shoulder injury. He is questionable, so keep an eye out for that one. We got Tony Pollard, as we mentioned. He has the what was it? Is a torn
plantar fascia.
But yeah, that's not good. He's a questionable game time decision. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. DeAndre Swift, questionable with a shoulder, did not practice today. We got Mark Ingram still on that COVID list. Tevin Coleman, concussion, has not practiced yet this week. Melvin Gordon, limited practice today, so trending in the right direction. After seeing what Javonte did without Melvin Gordon, they just going to go right back to that split backfield?
I think maybe it goes 60-40 instead of 50-50, but yeah. Unfortunately for all of us, I think it will.
Yeah, I mean, he balled out, so it's that's what all the Javonte drafters were looking for all year long, right? They were praying for that, all right, we'll give Melvin Gordon the first 8 weeks to go, maybe take 60-40, and then it's just gonna blow up like what Jonathan Taylor did last year. Yep. Just never happened, and then he gets hurt, and you're like, see? Then we got Damian Harris dealing with a hammy injury. They played. So they played Monday night, so that's something to look out for. Alex Collins, I don't know if anybody cares. Travis Homer, J.D. McKissick, concussion, got a limited practice in, so that's good news for him. Potentially bad news for Gibson. I think it takes a little bit away from Gibson, but Gibson's still been pretty good, so I think you can roll him out. James Robinson, questionable with everything. It feels like he's, he didn't practice, but I don't know. Something just tells me he's going to play because he just has been. He just needs to hold on to the damn ball. Elijah Mitchell, concussion, didn't practice today. That could be a big one. Jeff Wilson, somebody you're looking, or Hasty, somebody you're looking to throw in your lineup if Mitchell doesn't play. It didn't go well last time Mitchell didn't play. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I don't think that I could trust Hasty. I think if Wilson's out there, then it makes it even murkier. If Wilson doesn't play, then maybe you go Hasty as the last man standing. But, look, this is a week that everybody must win for the most part, right? Either you're fighting for seeding or you're fighting to get into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. How are you going to trust one of those guys in your lineup when you probably have better options?
It is hard, but I will say there are lots of running back problems and injuries. So you might be desperate. The only thing I would say is that, maybe you can trust it a little bit more potentially without Debo. Now he's sort of potentially coming back, but in his first game back, I wonder if they would throw him in that role and potentially, get creamed. Like, let's put him back at receiver, guys, and let him do what he does best. And, I know he's good back there, but you got him hurt. So don't do that again. But yeah, it's something where I think it's only if you're in desperation mode that you're starting one of those guys. And then Kenny Drake looking like he could be activated this week, which is pretty good news there. So bad news for James. Bad news for James Conner. Or no, I'm sorry, not Drake is out.
I was like, Drake's out for the year, isn't he?
No, sorry,
Chase Edmond. Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, man,
Like, what the?
they were both on the same team at one point, so there we go. That's why I did that. Yeah, Chase Edmonds is not on this list, but yeah, he is potentially coming back. Sorry, Drake is done for the year, and pissed about it. So, yeah, Chase Edmonds is somebody who is potentially coming back this week and could really hurt Connor's value. Connor is going to be back to be pretty much being touchdown dependent at this point, which is what he was for the first 10 weeks of the season. So that's what we got there. AJ, you want to finish up the receivers?
Sure. All right. So we got DK Metcalf dealing with a foot. He did not practice Wednesday or today. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully he can get some limited stuff in this weekend and tomorrow. We've got T. Higgins did not practice yesterday, but he was limited today, so he's trending in the right direction. Keenan Allen, we've already mentioned, with reserve COVID. He's day-to-day, but unlikely. Mike Williams, also mentioned, day-to-day, but more likely. Curtis Samuel's questionable with a groin. He was a limited practice today. Got Nico Collins with a thigh. He was limited Wednesday. Not sure what he was able to do today. Jarvis Landry was questionable with a knee and limited practice today. Devontae Adams, questionable with hamstring, limited practice today. Randall Cobb is out with a core muscle injury. He will probably be out a while. Probably safe to drop in most fantasy formats, I would think, at this point. Cooper Kupp is questionable with a toe injury. Hope it's not the TOVID. Here, that's pretty brutal.
It's going around.
So yeah, that's a limited practice for him today. Debo was questionable with a groin and did not practice today. Sterling Shepard is questionable with an ankle, limited practice today. Kadarius Toney questionable with an oblique, limited practice today. Kenny Galladay questionable with ribs, limited
This is
practice
just on
today.
repeat every week.
Suck it,
Man.
Keith.
This Giants.
I'm sorry, I can't really say suck it, Keith. Well, yeah, I can, because suck it, Keith. Elijah Moore questionable with the quad, limited practice today, and Julio in the Jones era is questionable with a hamstring, but he practiced fully Wednesday, so who knows?
Yeah, nobody cares about Julio Jones at this point. Terrible.
Tight ends, you got Hawk questionable with a hand, did not practice today. You got Ertz questionable, limited practice today. You got Logan Thomas back on the IR knee. His season is donezo, and Ricky Seals-Jones questionable with a hip, although limited practice today. So let's bump into them week 14 DFS plays.
Yeah, so this is where we give you our stack and smash plays, our fades, and our value picks for the week. And we just happen to have a DFS guru on hand here. He writes, you got to remind me the name of the site, man. I apologize for that. You write some DFS content.
No, I do I do a Thursday Night Football Showdown Slate article for Aaron Torres online. And I also do a DFS Flash podcast, which is a quick 15 to 20-minute podcast. Comes out on Fridays, just going over the Sunday slate with a couple of solid plays. It's been crushing it this year. I'm proud of it.
That's good, man. That's cool. Well, glad to have you here for this, and I'll let you lead the way. Give us a stack that you really are liking this week.
It's Dallas. I'm all over the Dallas stack this week. I think Dak at 6. So I go off DraftKings pricing. So Dak at 6,700,
right.
Lamb's at 7,200, and Amari Cooper's only at 5,900. Even Dalton Schultz at 5,400 is usable. Against the Washington secondary, wanting to lock up that division. And it's the first time all three of these receivers have played together for a whole game, and the running backs are banged up. This passing game just screams stack to me.
I agree, and I wrote that one down too. I like it a lot. I like that game in general for fantasy. I think it's going to be pretty high scoring. I think you could get different, and especially in your GPPs, and maybe throw out like a Heineke McLaurin stack and just get different with it. I know I know Dallas, likes to get turnovers, right? But they still let up plenty of yards and plenty of points on occasion. Yep. So I think, if you want to get different, there's your way to get different with it. Another stack I have, and it's kind of the obvious one, man. It's Allen and Diggs. They want redemption for what happened last week, and they're going against Tampa, who's just, they're getting shredded in the air most weeks. And so not only that, like, we know they can't run. The game script's going to say they're going to have to pass, because as good as Buffalo's defense has been, Tampa's going to be able to score on them, right? And so they're going to have – this is going to be I would imagine it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. So that's a good one. It is expensive at $7,800 and $8,100 for both Allen and Diggs, but, you could potentially throw in a Dawson Knox, which I forgot to write down the price for, but, he could be somebody you could throw out there as well.
4,000, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap, actually.
5,000. Knox is 5,000.
Yeah, let's get up there then. But no, not terrible. So, who's a guy outside of a stack that you're looking at and going, you've just got to start this guy. Like, you've got to figure out a way to get them in their lineup.
I do like Gibson coming back on the other side of that stack. But McKissick might be back. I don't think he is, and Gibson has been the workhorse. But I went CEH. CEH at only 6,100. You talked about Mahomes not throwing touchdowns. It's a great matchup against Vegas, who's not good against the run. KC should be playing with the lead, which means they should run the ball more. And CEH has actually been getting involved as a pass catcher a little bit. So I think he's a solid play here.
Yeah.
I like that.
I worry a little bit about that Chiefs offense just not really scoring a lot of points in general, it feels like. But yeah, I could get on board with that one. So I've got a bunch of ones here. I already mentioned McLaurin, and again, you could potentially kind of get a cheaper stack if you want to play Heineke there. But I really like McLaurin. Game script says if you want to go, you could literally do like Dak Lamb or Dak Cooper and McLaurin and really clean up with that whole game there. Like, it's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be high passing all over the place. Obviously, the top end running backs here, the Ecklers, the Mixons, obviously he has to be healthy or not sick, I guess. They're kind of obvious plays. Kamara coming back, 7,900. Yep. It's kind of expensive, but there could be no Ingram. We know Tony Jones can't do anything, so this is Kamara all day. It's Kamara, and you could go Taysom Hill and Kamara, honestly, and that's gonna be the entire offense. Let's be real. So you could get both of those. And
spoiler alert, they're both in the DFS Flash this week.
Yeah, Taysom Hill 5,600 against the Jets. He just put up 24 fantasy points on DraftKings. Guys, fix it. It should not be that cheap.
And not only does Kamara not have his main backup, but Ty Montgomery is also on COVID.
Oh, I missed that one.
Montgomery is too? Oh, shit.
I totally missed that. Yeah, so Kamara's going to get
Tony Jones season. Let's go.
No. And then just a couple of receivers here. Obviously, if Keenan Allen misses the game, I really like Mike Williams at 6,000. And then I like Higgins over somebody I'm going to fade later is as the guy who's really becoming the better and more the better option in that passing attack for Cincy. And he is the cheaper of the two receivers there. And you can all probably guess who I'm talking about. I'll just say it now. It's Jamar Chase. I'm fading Jamar Chase. I know we talked about this, JB, before the show, but I just can't do it anymore, man. Chase has not been producing.
Well, he almost had a touchdown last week. He dropped it in the end zone.
He also bobbled an easy one and gave it back to the defense. So something's going on, man. He's hit that rookie wall, it feels like.
The thing in preseason, everyone was talking about Chase and his bobbles and hand issues and catching and this and that because the football doesn't have white lines on it.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break. The guy proved that shit wrong very easily throughout the majority of the season. I'm a big Higgins fan and have been. He's got one more year in the NFL under his belt than Chase, but Chase has college career with Burrow. So I think they're both great plays regardless of where you go with it. I think Chase is going to get back to where he was and remember how to find the ball without the white stripes. So
I was going to say this, and because DK is full PPR since week 9. Computer's refreshing. Come on, computer. Jeez. Higgins is wide receiver 11, and Chase is 41. You're gonna pay that price for wide receiver 41 and just pray it works all of a sudden. I don't know. I'm off of it. I
just feel like Burrow's gonna want to get his guy right if they're shooting for the playoffs, and he's under 7,000 for the first time since his blow-up game in Week 7. So it's 6,900 to get to a 2.5 times return. It's not that much from him, and he could definitely get there. I mean,
Higgins is still cheaper at Higgins is still cheaper at 6,400. Give me that over Chase, who hasn't been doing a damn thing for the last 5 weeks. So, nah, I'm
Law
off.
of averages. I think things return to the mean.
Look, you could be right. I mean, I'm not saying I'm totally right, but I'm
a Higgins guy.
I mean, I'm finding it hard to do it. So, who is a fade of yours then, JB? Who you got?
So I have 2. One of them is going to be Chuba Hubbard because I think that they're going to be winning. I think there's that Cam factor of vulturing a touchdown. We know Cam is greedy as hell, so he don't care about getting anybody else involved as long as he gets to show off in the end zone. And then there's Amir Abdullah, who's actually been getting the same kind of work. I feel like he's the passing down back or the pass catching back. So I think that Chuba is a guy who I might fade this week. And a high end fade for me is TJ Hawkinson. I don't know that Detroit scores a touchdown this week. And he gets the Justin Simmons matchup, who's probably the best safety against tight ends. So I am going to be fading Hawkinson this week.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I haven't been going after the high end tight ends anyway. They haven't really been doing what we hoped they would be doing this year. I mean, even Kelsey, to be honest, and they're not worth the price tag. Like Kelsey last year was like an automatic play. It felt like him and Waller were just like, I'm just using one of them and I'm good, and then just move on to the rest of my lineup. This year, I'm like, let's see what else is out there. Oh, this guy, yeah, sure, I'll use him. Yeah, so I feel like I'm not paying up for the tight ends anyway. Somebody from he just got destroyed.
AJ Osborne just got lit up.
Oh, man.
He should have had that touchdown, too. He had the ball, and then he just got lit up.
I mean, it was right there. Hey. Fitzpatrick's like, fucking Roethlisberger.
Watch, Dalvin Cook's going to get another one here.
Yep.
Mahomes is a guy who, I mean, it probably doesn't surprise you for me to say I'm going to fade Mahomes here. He's the most expensive quarterback on the slate, and I get it, man. It's Vegas, and it is the team he destroyed, 3 weeks ago. I don't know, man. I think there's just other ways to go than playing Mahomes at this point and just hoping he can do something even close to that again, because he hasn't done it for the probably about half the season at this point. So I'd rather pay quarterback pricing elsewhere than that. And then Pollard, even if he does somehow play this game, no way at 6,400. There's no chance I risk that. I know Pollard's been playing well the last few weeks, but there's no way you can risk 6,400 on a guy who has a torn plantar fasciitis. There's just no way. So, all right, give me a value play of yours, JB.
So my favorite dart throw is Donovan Peoples-Jones at 3,900 this week.
Right.
He's playing the Baltimore secondary that's completely banged up. Marlon Humphrey's out for the season. I mean, when they were questioning Harbaugh on his decision to go for 2 last week, his answer was, I don't have any corners left. So we had to try to win the game. So, I mean, as long as Baker can get the ball downfield, I can see DPJ scoring a long touchdown for us and paying off that $3,900 salary easily.
I don't hate that. I like that one. So a couple here that I wrote down is obviously there's a lot of, and this is where I was talking about, like there's going to be a lot of changing of decisions based on who's healthy for the Chargers, right? But if Williams and Allen are both out, the guy I want is Jalen Guyton. But I mean, you could really go with almost any of these receivers for the Chargers after that. I mean, Palmer, Guyton, 34, Palmer's 3,000. I mean, Palmer's a big play, like total dart throw type of guy. Guyton, I feel like could be more of the target. You know, he's going to see more targets than anybody else. So he's maybe a little safer, but Palmer can just take the roof off and just go over top of people and just catch a long, deep one and hit value easily. But
don't forget about Jared Cook at 3,200 also. He's
right, and so I do like that one for sure.
Stack that whole
Honestly,
thing.
I like that one even if only Mike Williams plays. Like you could play
exactly.
any of
That's
these
where
guys.
I like him.
And so like I like these guys anyway. Like even if only one of them plays. Now if both play, obviously I think they're all off the table. You don't worry about them. It's going to be Eckler, Williams, and Allen, and that's just how it goes. And you just ignore everybody else. But I think, you got to wait for the injury news to come out. This is why you don't make your lineup till Sunday morning. And you just, you pivot to these other guys and just save value and then go pay up for, you go pay up for these high-end running backs like Austin Eckler, type of thing, who are like the most high-priced guys. But that's going to give you the flexibility to go get multiple of those players. And especially in cash, you're going to clean up. Yeah. The last value play I have, and a little more expensive, but I like Westbrook at Keenan, Tennessee, 4,500. Even if Julio is back, I mean, it's against the Jags. They're not good, so just he's gonna see the volume. What there is of it, I suppose. There's not a ton of volume in this passing attack right now, but he has seen 6 and 8 targets the last couple weeks. A couple weeks ago against Houston, caught 7 for 107 yards. Even last week he ended up catching 2. Thankfully, 1 went for the end zone because that was it. That was against New England, and so they just obviously they took everybody away. They just dominated that game. But he is more just he's the only thing they've got. Even with Julio, who knows? Julio could go on the field for 10 plays and pull a hamstring again because that's just what he's been doing. Yep. So it's Westbrook at Keenan, and it's not a total punt. It's not the $3,000 range like what you and me said with the other guys that we mentioned, but it's still a pretty good value play there in my opinion. Yeah. So. All right, man. That's it for our show. Want to thank you for coming on, and before we let you go, just remind everybody where they can find you and what you got going on the rest of the season.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FantasyCoachJB. You can find my written work at Razball and Aaron Torres Online. I do the DFS Flash podcast on Aaron Torres Online and the Fantasy Besties podcast on Monday nights. That's a great group. AJ, you know us all. We formed from the same group from the 102s last year. Right. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was great to chop it up with you. Obviously, I've been interacting with the two of you guys for a while now. And look, when Joe wins Scott Fishbowl, like I said he would 6 months ago, I could say I shared. I said it 6 months ago, bro. I've been saying it all year. So I'm sticking with it, bro. I'm happy to be on the show with the future Scott Fishbowl champion.
I'm not gonna get my smack trophy from the Fantasy Pros.
Thank you. I'm very excited to wear this crown after 2 seasons of absolute dog shit, and going into this week with a current negative 7.28.
Ooh, nice. Thanks, Big Ben.
It's fine. It's fine. I ain't worried. About it.
That's cool.
Dontrell Hilliard season.
Dontrell Hilliard.
Whatever.
Yikes.
Yeah. I'm not going to get my smack trophy from the Fantasy Pros ECR this year. I'm too far out of it. I'd have to have a miracle comeback to get into the top 5 this year for that. But
get on it.
Hey, Scott Fish gives that, the winner, they get a smack trophy. So maybe I'll get one.
There you go.
That'd be pretty nice. Those guys loved me at the expo because I brought my trophies with, and they were like 2 booths down. The dude was like, "Yes!"
They were awesome.
He was so funny. He's a hype man, dude. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, JB, want to thank you for coming on, and we will have to do it again soon, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks again,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks.
All right. Peace. All right. So, yeah, this game is a complete, as you are mentioning, AJ. The Steelers did not show up and play. And I'm going to kill myself if I, not.
Yeah,
literally,
I should have played Minnesota's defense and the 18 points that are sitting on my bench in Crab Cake League, where I need to lock up a playoff spot.
Wow. I mean, did they just get a pick? Is that what it is? Oh. Yeah,
What?
I don't remember
said
who I picked for this game in our Fantasy Six Pack Pick'em group, but I have a bad feeling I picked the Steelers. I don't really know why. I don't.
Well, that's my thing. Like, oh, please catch that. Get me positive points. Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, that's the play you were just talking about because you're like 3 plays ahead of me.
I'm sorry. Do better.
It wasn't. Oh, mother.
What is going on here with my stupid ass?
Okay. Anyway, I mean, I love seeing Minnesota win. Said it before. I'll say it again. My cousin plays on their team. Shout out Dan Chisena.
Oh no, I did.
So dude, I'm stoked. I want to. I'd love to see them win, and I'd love to see Pittsburgh lose actually, and not because I'm like a Ravens diehard or anything. I just think it's fun watching Pittsburgh lose.
I don't know what's going on with my app right now, but it is not telling me who I picked. It's being really stupid right now, so I'm just going to go on the site here.
Yeah.
But nobody cares. So let's just finish this out, man. And, I want to thank everybody for watching. JB was great this week. And, let's good luck to everybody who's not playing me in Week 14. See ya.
Cheers.